First Niger, now Chad ordering American troops out. What's your assessment of these developments and their timing as well?
This is a wonderful continuation, a reawakening of African liberation spirit. It goes back to when Africans took up weapons and political struggle to liberate their lands from the occupation by Western forces as early as the 50s and 60s. Now Africans realize that to gain full sovereignty and to truly have control over their natural resources, their economies, politics, they must get rid of all foreign military presence, Western corporations that control African economy, politics, even media. And this is not a sudden thing. This has been boiling up for the last 10 years at least, I would claim, since the destruction of my home country of Libya in 2011, which made many African nations realize that you simply cannot have peace and understanding with the West, which Libya tried to do. The West, as soon as you try to gain control of your economy, of your natural resources, of your oil, of your gold, the West will come with power, with force to take it back. I visited Chad in 2014, the last time, and I saw it with my own eyes that even Chadian officials were discussing the possibility of getting rid of all foreign military presence. At that time, of course, it was the French. The French still have the bigger presence in Chad, and I think it's next step for the Chadian government to talk to the French about the possibility of withdrawing their forces from there. And from Chad and Niger to Mali and Burkina Faso, a problem still faced by African countries up to this moment. And then, of course, the West comes and says, we want to protect you from this problem, allow us to have military presence. So they create the problem, they fund it, and then they come in with big, power to solve it. The reason, of course, what they want is total control of the economy, of the resources, of the geography, and to lead their global wars from other people's lands. So this makes me, as an African and as a Pan-Africanist, makes me very happy. There is a new awareness, a new culture of liberation spreading all over Africa. The reasons are very material, meaning they are linked to the livelihood of people. Africans who campaigned for decades against local corruption, for democracy and human rights, they even got involved in gay rights and gender rights. Now they realize that all of these matters are secondary to the main issue, which is gaining control of your own destiny as an individual and as a nation. And they realize that in order to move ahead with development, economic and political development in Africa, Africans need to have the power to do that. And they don't have that. The power is in the hands of the French companies, British and American military forces. The US, of course, as you would expect, inherited the imperialist project in Africa from the British. And the American corporations now are robbing Africa dry. You can check many detailed research and studies done. The most and the biggest and the most famous one is actually a British academic study done in 2016, which showed in detail how more than 140 billion US dollars are robbed out of Africa annually, just out of the natural resources, direct gold and oil and gas and iron. So Africans realize finally, hey, listen, yes, I want democracy, I want the human rights, but I will never be able to achieve all of this if I don't have economic development, control of my destiny, control of my natural resources and my land. Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, Mali, these are important countries, but they are on the smaller side. We need bigger countries such as Nigeria and such as South Africa to support this movement and be involved through the African Union. This movement is very legitimate. It's not calling for war or conflict. It's calling for the rights of Africans and African nations to control their economy, their banks, their gold, their iron, and to free Africa from foreign military presence. No one in their right mind can oppose that. And I think South Africa, Nigeria, and in North Africa, Egypt and Algeria should absolutely and fully support this movement. It will bring only good things for all Africans.
Hello, kings and queens. There has been an awakening of African countries to decide to take control of their resources such as minerals, oil, and gas. Those countries have decided to abandon their independence on the Western forces. And recently, the country of Chad called on the U.S. To withdraw its troops from an army base in the country. The move comes monthly after Niger, another African country, called or suspended its security agreement with the United States of America. So, kings and queens, do you see this is the right time for Africa to come together? Already some countries, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, decided to take the control of their resources without depending on foreign troops. So, do you see this is the right time for Africa to come together and to create a strategy that will protect our resources and our territories? Please share with us your opinion on this. What do you think? So our topic is, can Africa control our resources with the presence of foreign military bases in the continent? How can we control our resources with foreign military bases in the continent? What is the decision of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, and recently Chad? Do you see this is the right decisions? What is your opinion on this? So, kings and queens, let us share our thought without the box that make the difference. So let me share my thought on this. I think it is difficult to control our resources, our territory, when we have troops that we don't have control to them. So the decisions of these countries, I think, should be embraced by others. So what we need is to control our territories and our resources. And this is our duty as Africa. We cannot wait America, or Europe, or China, or Russia to do our stuffs. And this is because we are so divided. That's why every country is looking for help. But if we are so united as Africa, it will be easy. We have good people in different parts of this continent. If we come together and bring them infrastructures, supporting them, we can create something good and great. So this is not about a few countries, Mali, Niger, or Burkina Faso, or Chad. This should be about the whole continent. We should say enough is enough. We should say we can do our own stuffs. We can protect our people. We can protect our resources. The way Africans came together during colonialism, apartheid, also Africans and Africa should come together at this time and say enough is enough. Let us liberate ourselves economically. We want Africa to own the means of production. We want Africa to own our resources. And this is what these countries are doing. These countries are not doing bad things. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, what they are doing is to control their resources. But Mali only, Burkina Faso only, Niger cannot achieve this movement, cannot achieve. All of us will remember when Gaddafi said, Africa should have a single currency. What happened? You know, one thing that maybe we are wrong is to think that there's someone who will come and develop us. Everyone who is here is for business. You see these military bases being built in Africa by the foreign power. They're not here to protect us, they're here to protect their businesses. If they have owned these oil companies, the oil minerals, mines, they protect. That's why they put military bases, not to protect you, kings and queens. If we are so protected, look what is happening in DRC. Who care about DRC? What's happening in Sudan right now? What's happening in northern Nigeria? What's happening in Sahel? So if you see these bases are there to protect the business of those superpower, they're not here to protect us. So kings and queens, we need to come together. The way we came together during colonialism, apartheid regimes in South Africa, it should also be the same at this time, to come together and say enough is enough. We, the people of Africa, for 60 years, we are so educated, even though we don't have much knowledge, technologies like others, but we can learn our own things. We can try to do things. We can survive. We have to take the world like that. And also we can survive, because we have these resources. If we come together, my dear brothers and sisters, and say from now, we want you, Nigeria, to feed us, it could be possible. We want you, Uganda, to produce cars for the entire continent. We want you, Tanzania, to supply grain and rice and whatever to the whole continent. It will be possible, and we will make a lot of money. If each country should be given a task, we should move as Africa. But this will be possible if we come together. And of course, to come together is another issue, another debate, because for 60 years we are talking about the unity of this continent, and we'll continue to push it. We'll continue to speak about this. Even we have to see things is not going the way we think, but we have to say this, that Africa, we need to come together, because without unity, all these things that we desire will not achieved. We are talking about continental free trade area, free movement of people and goods. How is it possible if we cannot come together? Do we have infrastructures? No. Who will be responsible for these infrastructures? So that's why I say, if we come together and decide every country should be given the task, we have engineers. Every country should provide engineers. You, Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, or Senegal, Burkina Faso, wherever, all countries, Kenya, Uganda, Burundi, please bring us an electric engineer. Every country. Then give them the space. Design. Project to power the entire continent. We have source where we have uranium, we have Hinga Dam for hydroelectric power, we have solar, we have sun. So by doing so, we can move together. Call doctors. Each country should provide a doctor, then give them the space. Please come up with how you are going to treat us. We don't need to go out there for medical tourism. This time around, our presidents, our leaders should be treated here. The way you see Americans are treating their leaders, Europeans. You can't hear Chinese president is coming to Africa to get treatment, but you hear African leaders went to Europe, America, Asia to get treatment. How is it possible? So by doing so, but if we are united, call economists, how we are going to strategize our economy, how are we going to have a single currency? So by doing so, Africa can move, but it is difficult because we are so divided. We are so divided, and those who are benefiting with this situation are not happy to see the unity of this continent. Even politicians who are benefiting from these systems are not happy to see this is coming into reality, but leaders are happy with this. You know, always I say we have leaders and we have politicians, but also we have politicians who are leaders, but not all leaders are politicians, and not all politicians are leaders. So there's those who are trying to make sure things should not happen because they are benefiting from these systems, and there's those who wish changes to come for the better and for the good things of Africa. So kings and queens, please, you may share with us what do you think, but all in all, Africa, we should be liberating ourselves economically. By doing so, we can move on. We cannot come here and lament and do so things like that, but solution is to come together. So kings and queens, have a nice time. See you next time. Thank you.